Well, 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 you have finally got here. You are listening to the Erskine Music Podcast. Here, by popular demand, we discuss life, culture, Christ, and of course, music. These half-hour broadcasts are perfect for a commute, coffee time, chat, or any other gap in your schedule where you want to put great content. So without further ado, let's join the conversation today, already in progress.
Big head, why am I not big? Girls, the subject matter that we're talking about today, which is my veiled way of saying this is all about boys. This is incredible. This is Bill Maher. Bill stinking Maher. Why is he on the Erskine Music Show? If we know anything about the Erskine Music Show, this is directly related to Jesus Christ, the glory of God, King Jesus, the only one, the only Savior, Bill Maher. How did he get up on this show? Well. The Rubin Report has found they've drudged up something that I think that Bill Maher stumbles upon in a statement in a conversation that he's having. A broken clock is right twice a day, isn't it? And Bill Maher has something to say about this, and I think it's really quite interesting here. The conversation goes two different directions according to what Rubin does, but I think there's actually four views in what it is that's being found here. But let me do this. Since it's short, I'm going to let it play through one time. And then I'm coming back to make some statements because I got a lot to say on this subject matter. Tom, I'm going to let this play through. Context is boys don't ask girls out anymore. Boys don't ask girls out anymore. Why is that boys don't ask girls out anymore? Because unless boys ask girls out, boys no marry girls. Girls have no babies. Babies not here. Not here means our society collapses and the world is going to hell in a handbasket. All the different things, doom and gloom prospectors are out there saying happens as a result of boys not asking girls out. And so Bill Maher, the very own atheist himself, stumbles upon something the Rubin Report drudges up, and I want you guys to hear it today. Here it is.
One thing men are afraid of is girls.
Yeah.
It's not lightning. It's girls.
Yeah.
It's just, there's something about that rejection of going up to somebody, like you say, cold, and you just have to get through that. And I feel like we are further from that than ever. I mean, kids don't even want to answer the phone.
Yeah.
They find that a little too alarming, unless you text first.
40.
Really, because that's passive, because you answer, nobody sees you, they don't see your reaction, you don't have to come up with conversation.
100%. 45% of men 18 to 24 have never asked a woman out in person. 63% of men under the age of 30 are not even pursuing a relationship. And if you think about the most rewarding things in your life, I mean, the things that really matter, they are essentially relationships. What do they all have in common? They're really damn hard. And unfortunately, big tech, the most deep-pocketed, godlike technology in the world, is trying to convince young men that they can have a reasonable facsimile of life online. Why go through the pecking order of trying to establish friendships when you got Reddit and Discord? Why put on a tie and navigate the corporate world when you can trade crypto or stocks on Robinhood or Coinbase? And why would you go through the effort, the expense, and the potential rejection and humiliation of establishing a romantic relationship when you have porn?
All right, so there's some seriously damaging stuff here. You know, it's worth noting that whether he feels it's a grand conspiracy that big tech did this, or is big tech just a reflection of what we are, right? We can all say, oh, we want to go out there and have great relationships. We all want to follow the grand adventure of life. We want to do amazing things and everything else. But that actually what we do is the other stuff, right? So was it designed to break all of our brains, or are they just giving us exactly what, when left to our own devices, we end up choosing, which is that we will choose trading crypto or watching porn or whatever those things are that he just mentioned there? Will we always choose the easier one? Because it is much harder to actually meet a human being, to go and sit across from somebody and look at them and try to figure out who they are as they try to figure out who you are, and then to say, my God, I might go on the adventure of life with you. Like, that's tough. That's crazy. That's also the thing that humans have been doing for thousands of years, which we seem to be trading away right now. But I think it is interesting to note, is it a grand conspiracy against us, or is it just a reflection of actually how we behave?
So 4 views. One is, this is all hogwash. This is nonsense. Bill Maher not only he's not a broken clock that's right twice a day. He's just a broken clock that's hands have fallen off and is not telling any time whatsoever. So this is a farce. This is comedy. This is speculation. This is at best political and or cultural commentary and satire. Has nothing to do with reality. And he's wrong about what it is he's talking about. The expert, the quote unquote expert that's there. So this is just hogwash. It's nonsense. That's view number one. Why Erskine, did you even play this on your show? You're brain rotting us by playing things like this on your show. That could be your view. I think you're wrong. That's obviously why I played it. View number 4. I would say it's a hybrid of 2 theories that have been mentioned here, that it's a big tech conspiracy that has rotted our brains out, and now boys can't respond to girls because they've got cell phones. And the cell phone helps them hide behind the cell phone wall. And since they have porn, they don't need any of the fulfillment of a woman now. They can just embait whenever they want to and look at porn. That's big tech conspiracy. On the other side of that, there's the Rubin report, who's coming and saying, well, did big tech do this, or this is just naturally kind of where we're at? I think that's a little unsatisfactory. Either of those is unsatisfactory because it doesn't have any personal responsibility that's associated with that. If we're going to get to the gospel, we've got to have some responsibility commensurate against the law of God and the standard of God for us to be able to evaluate any type of story that we hear. And so, what say ye as we jump into the comment section today about such a report? I think statistically speaking, if I might posit this, I don't think the statistics are necessarily wrong. And so let's go back and hear those statistics, and we'll kind of break down the conversation based on what it is that we're hearing. Some people might hear the statistics and say, what's wrong with that? But, I mean, nothing wrong with that. Nothing to see here, folks. Let's just keep on moving throughout our day. But I think when you hear these statistics, they should at some point alarm us and cause us to say, is that statistic accurate? And if it is accurate, why is that statistic there? Section
55% of men 18 to 24 have never asked a woman out in person.
What did he say? Hold on a second. Get that on the screen.
18 to 24 have never asked a woman out in person.
Sees you, they don't see your reaction, you don't have to come up with conversation.
100%. 45% of men 18 to 24 have never asked a woman out in person.
45%. Half. Almost half. Never asked a woman out in person. My wife is over there. She's doing wifely things, making merch for my next tour. Wife, are you within ear distance of this conversation? From the other side of the camera, what was the dumb thing that I said to you when I was trying to ask you out? Remember when I tried to ask you for your phone number?
Oh yeah.
What I say?
Do you give guys your phone number?
Yeah. You thought that was a little weird, huh? Yeah. It was dumb. I couldn't think of anything better to say. I was trying the best I could, but it worked. It worked. It was super awkward. And I said a lot of dumb things. And you got to say a lot of dumb things. I had to go through some awkward moments. And I wasn't even saying, and I'm usually pretty good with words. I wasn't even saying what it was that I wanted to say, but I knew I needed to say something because I needed to show some initiative to get to step 2. Step 2 has potential. But step 2 didn't even have potential because I didn't even really know how to ask her out on a date. Maybe step 3 has potential. Like there's pitfalls. You're not watching the show of someone who had this all worked out. And so I want to just give a little bit of release in this conversation and not be like, hey, you younger generations, you guys need to man up. You need to check your nuts. You need to like be somebody in this world. You're looking at somebody who didn't have it all worked out, but you have to attempt, even in the brokenness, even in the just comical way that I was going about doing certain things, the Lord can work that out. Do you trust the Lord enough to make straight licks with crooked sticks, as they say? And I think that most guys, if you're honest and you're married and it actually worked, you would be honest enough to say, not every line was just this poetic, like Romeo and Juliet, I'm Shakespeare of whatever it was. You just got to figure those things out. Jesus can do that. He can make straight licks with crooked sticks. If you're watching the show today and you're like, I'm embarrassingly awkward. I know a lot of embarrassingly awkward people who are married and have wonderful families. So don't let that be a barrier to you asking girls, girls, girls. You just need to ask one girl out. Don't be asking them all out.
63% of men under the age of 30 are not even pursuing a relationship.
Now, that's the one that I've talked with some of my friends about who work with sort of the younger generation. And I don't know if this is just a small scale sample, but among musicians, that tends to be a pretty consistent thing that I'm hearing is they're not even pursuing relationships. So, like, there's those who I've just spoken to who have maybe a little gun shy because they're the fear of the rejection. And, we get that whole aspect of that. And there's release because Jesus can help you with that. Jesus is the way. Find Jesus, know Jesus. Like, he will help you. He will help your
Well, that certainly gives a sense of
embarrassingly
why people
awkward
enjoy this
approach
show. Very engaging,
in
very
many areas in
heartfelt.
life. Make
We will
straight licks
return
with
to the
crooked sticks,
conversation in
as
a few moments, but first, let's
there are
thank our
those who are just like,
sponsors,
you know what, I'm out.
Life
I'm
Action
done.
Ministries,
And I've seen studies and
Fellowship of
reports of
Christian
women who are
Athletes,
like, I don't
and
even
you
get
for all
approached
your
by
awesome
guys anymore.
support.
I dress
And
up, do what
Holt
I can,
International.
try
Thanks
to go
so
places
much
with other guys.
to our partners
Nope,
who
they don't
make
even come talk to me
such a
anymore.
difference.
And there are
Thanks,
some who have
Jason.
posited
Hi,
that's
I'm
because
Dawn.
of the Me Too
And I'm
generation
Steve
and all
of
this
Down to Steve
victimization of
Plus.
stuff.
We're a
Women
podcast,
have
and if
been
you've not checked it
on
out,
sort
hope
of
you'll
a
do that. You can visit our
10-year
website. It
rampage
is
about the evils of
donandsteveplus.com,
men and
or you can find us
all the
wherever you get
different
your
things that
podcasts.
We
catch
do
men
hope
and-
that you'll be able
and
to
all of
join
their
us, even
duplicity,
as you
and we're gonna
continue to follow
expose men, and we're
Erskine
gonna
Music.
expose the
Erskine
crime
does
of
such
men.
a
And
great
so men
job
have just kind
of
of gotten to a
bringing
place
out
where it's like,
topics.
I don't
They're
wanna
not
be
all
the next
easy.
Right.
subject of clickbait.
I love that he'll
I
tackle
don't
just
want to
I'm
be
about any
telling you,
topic.
exposed out
he
there like
will
that.
tackle
So maybe
any topic
not in the way
and
that Ruben is
invite
talking
you to the
about it,
conversation,
but maybe it's
which
the
is
cell
always a
phone,
plus
it's this
because
generation.
learning
Like,
the
I
art of
texted a message.
conversation.
Look what he
well,
texted me.
it's
He's an
much needed.
idiot. Let me
It
put this
certainly
up
is,
on social media.
and he
now,
does a great
now,
job
not only do
with
I know
those
that he's an idiot or
conversations.
think that
So,
he's an
Erskine,
idiot,
thanks
my
for doing that.
little
Thanks for
cadre of
tackling those
girls
tough
and
topics,
girlfriends
and
think that he's
thanks
an
for
idiot and
listening
kind
to
of,
the Erskine Music Show.
malign his character.
All right, let's get
surreptitiously.
back to
But
the
now
show.
I can post
This
this
is where it gets
online. Look what he
good.
texted me. Look what he said to me. Look what happened. And this can be posted online everywhere for perpetuity for all generations and his kids and kids to know what he said in this particular occasion. It didn't work out for him, but not only did it not work out for him, but he's going to get body slammed and embarrassed to the highest degree. And guys are just kind of like, yeah, not signing up for that one. Not signing. He looked at me. Sexual abuse. He tried to talk to me. Sexual abuse. And look, I'm not going to victim blame anybody here. But I'm just simply saying, if that's the cultural context that people are growing up in, should it surprise people that men are kind of like, yeah, not really interested in that? That that's not a satisfactory answer, is it? Is it, people? Going back to the conversation and simply asking the question, if one of the things that begins to develop in young men is this hormonal desire and urge towards sexual activity. And we know from God's word that can only be fulfilled rightly within the context of marriage. But that desire is there. And as has been noted, it's a proper desire, it's a natural desire. Note in Romans chapter 1 that desire should not be a man for a man or a woman for a woman, but a man for a woman. That natural desire that is there. Paul would even say in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, it's better to marry than to burn with lust. But if in the burning with lust, we can just turn on the cell phone, find any image that we want, and then let our brains and our voyeuristic minds go in a particular direction so that there's release in that area through imbation. I don't think I have to spell that out for you guys. Then it's a lot safer option than to be exposed in any particular way or embarrassed in a particular public manner or to be ostracized. And so, Houston, we have a problem. And I think that I don't need this particular show. There's many shows that have discussed the fact that that's not a legitimate use of sexuality and growing sexuality within the context of God's word. We can't do that. We can't resort to that as being the final impetus. That does not move in the direction of marriage, family, pleasing God, righteousness, or any other type of thing. It's voyeurism, it's objectification in all the wrong ways, and we're not for that. So what do we do? How do we get out of this? How do we get out of this?
And if you think about the most rewarding things in your life, I mean, the things that really matter, they are essentially relationships. And what do they all have in common? They're really damn hard.
I think he actually stumbled upon something. It's not Bill Maher here, but it's the other gentleman here, Scott Galloway, who says the relationships and the value of the relationships is the primary emphasis. But what this gentleman, Scott Galloway, says here, and I think that we need to hear this, and this is the reason why I brought it up today, is the relationships are really quite hard. And I think he spoke truth there. That's true truth. Relationships on this side of eternity are really quite hard. Marriage must be fought for. Relationships must be fought for. Friendships are often difficult to maintain through distance and disagreement and various other things out there. So thank the Lord if you have good friends. I've got some wonderful friends who watch this show and are a part of this. The relational aspect of what is going on is difficult to maintain, but it can be maintained. Once again, all roads are going to the same place. You know what I'm about to say. It can be maintained by the Spirit of God and by the love of Jesus Christ, the direction of the Holy Spirit in our lives to convict us of sin, to convince us of righteousness of Christ, and to guide us into strengthening those relationships. Compare notes here. Skillet, y'all want to get that smoke? Erskine Music, Oh Come Emmanuel. We'll be right back.
Oh come Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel that mourns in lonely exile here, until the Son of God appears. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel will come to thee, O Israel. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel will come to thee, O Israel. Come from on high and order all things far and nigh. To us the path of love show.
Well, you probably already know that when you hear that sound, there's music on the way. After all, this is kind of a music show. Sit back and enjoy. All the music can be easily found on your favorite digital distribution channels. Turn up the volume and here we go.
Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel will come to thee, O Israel. Oh, come desire of nations bind, all people in one heart and mind. Make envy, strife, and quarrel cease, and Fill the world with heaven's peace. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel will come to thee, O Israel. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel will come to thee, O Israel. Will come to thee, O Israel.
I would just say, as the outflow of this, that relationships matter. They definitely matter. The prioritization of those relationships under the banner of how the Holy Spirit moves you into relationships and being people who can be relationally trustworthy in the context of those relationships matters as well. And those are all keys toward us getting off of this trajectory of we can't approach one another, we can't talk to one another, we can't be friendly to one another, we can't respond to one another. Hopefully, girls, hopefully if you watch the beginning of the show, there was a note of kindness. If I'm ever having a conversation with Afton Baines, so long as she's not screaming in that just cacophonous voice that she does when she's on the campaign trail, if we were actually sitting down and having a conversation, we would have a great conversation together and some substantive things. And I would suggest a couple of things that maybe she's overlooked in her campaign, and it's congenial. Relationships matter, but relationships are aided through the gospel of Jesus Christ. All right. That's why I did this story. That's why I did it. That's why we did girls today. And I'm going to read some more in the comment section here. You guys are doing a great job filling up the comment section today. All right. Technology is messing people up. The culture is completely blind to all that around them causes their nose is trapped in their phones. Also, the culture tries to tell little boys, I'm going to say that's tell, they are really little girls. It's all a major catastrophe fixing to happen. Well, we are on a better relational path today. I'm not telling any boys that you're girls or girls that you're boys. A boy is a boy and a girl is a girl. And the men will step up. Here's what I think is going to happen. And I'm going to get off here because I'm gone long today. But here's what I think is going to happen. There's going to be something that presses us into a corner. And I say presses us into a corner, I say men into a corner. Because even though women are getting different rights and different things that are out there, men are still pretty much the leaders of society. And I don't say that in any way to shame women, but I'm just saying if we're going to go to war, like somebody's going to actually battle somebody or if something difficult is about to happen, we don't stick the women out in front of us like bomb shields, and we don't stick the children out in front of us like bomb shields or deflection devices. We take the brunt of that. But there's going to be something that is going to cause men to have to take the brunt of it, whatever it is. And it's probably going to have violent overtones to it. And it's probably going to have catastrophic sacrifice that is commensurate with it. Men will step up in those situations. They just will. And it's not that women are going to need to step back, but it's that men will step forward, 2 steps forward in those situations and because at the end of the day, and here's what people need to realize about men, no man wants to be a coward. And recently I've just been praying that when I die, I can die facing the enemy and that I can square my shoulders and receive the just reward of my faithfulness. I don't know how I expect to die, but that's the way I'd want to die. And innately, if you would ask even little boys, as soon as they can articulate the pursuit of courage, they'll begin to pursue that. Nick Freitas does a fantastic job of talking about all these different things, way more skilled at talking about this from the vantage point of being a Green Beret than I am, but it's the same impetus. He touches, it's the taproot of everything, that men will step up and they will have courage when courage is called upon them. And it's a time for courage. The problem is we live in such atmosphere of ease and what we perceive to be a relatively easy society, that we don't perceive the dangers that are around us. If we perceive that we're at war and we perceive the dangers that are around us, we will respond differently. And so, as long as we're at ease at Zion, as long as we're bored warriors, these are the kind of endemic problems that are just a symptom, I believe, of just having way too much leisure, not enough drive, not enough things that actually press us to the place where we have to give the ultimate sacrifice. When we will, then we will. There is the occasion in which men are cowards and cowardly, and they're soy boys and they're soft and they're too much in their mother's basement. And for whatever percentage that is, it'll probably never be known, but for whatever percentage that is of men who are just lazy, they're ne'er do wells, whatever it is, that narrative exists as, I believe, a small marginal fraction. What I believe to be the larger issue that it relates to this subject matter is the larger issue of men do not have a sacrificial reason to go and die. We have bored warriors. And I was mentioning this, although muted, that one of my prayers very recently has been, when I die, I want to die facing the enemy with the ability to square my shoulders and receive the due recompense of my faithfulness to the Lord. I don't know exactly what that means, but I don't want to die running away from the enemy. I don't want to get shot in the back. I would rather die with my shoulders squared, staring the enemy down. And because men who are cowards, you legitimately are a coward. But here's the thing that I believe is mind-blowing for this particular episode, is that a coward can be called to honor and prestige and power and valor when the sacrifice they deem worthy. Is Jesus worth it? Of course Jesus is worth it. But we're not discipled to recognize that perhaps you're being discipled, you're in a good church, a loving community, you have all these spiritual resources, you're able to play music, you're able to do all these different things. Perhaps you were able to do all those things and learn to do those things so that you could go to the mission field and die. People don't talk like that. I used to talk like that when I was in student ministry, and I recognized pretty early on, most parents don't like it when you talk like that. My longevity in student ministry would not probably last talking like that. But we need to talk like that because there's a lot of cowards. There's a lot of mama's boys out there. There's a lot of soy boys that are out there that they don't have anything to do right now. What do we have to do? What's on your schedule for today? You gonna order Papa John's pizza and sit in your mother's basement and play Call of Duty? Like, that is not valor. That is not a challenge to a man. You're gonna watch pornographic videos all day long? That is not not only is that filthy, that does not challenge your mind. That does not expand your mind. That does not get your pulse racing. Facing imminent death does. Facing a sacrifice that is so great that it will require everything that you have does. And that will call a coward out of his cowardice to be a man of valor. We don't have enough men of valor. This whole discussion is over. The show is over, folks. If we had more men of valor will take courageous stands on various issues. Transgenderism, whoop, that issue starts to shrink. Abortion, whoop, that issue starts to shrink. All the hot button issues that are out there that you could imagine. If there are men of valor who are raised up in our culture, in our society, and we see the sacrifice that is a sacrifice that we are willing to commit our lives to and that we will die for, men of cowardice will become men of courage when faced with those challenges. Listen, I'm exploding the code for you today. This conversation that we're having, why don't men approach women? They're so scared and they're emotionally damaged. This is not even a conversation, folks. It's not even a conversation when you have men of courage. And the way that you get men of courage is not to beat on the men and say, oh, you're a dumb man, you're a dumb man, you're a dumb man, you're a dumb man. There are some. But the way that you get from where you're at to where it is that you want to be is by challenging people to something that is greater than themselves and something that, if given all of themselves, they still probably will not be able to achieve it because they will probably die in the process of trying to achieve it. That's how you call men to courage.
We have come to the end of this episode. Don't miss a final word from Erskine.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of the Erskine Music Podcast experience. to all of our guests that come on the show, and for all of our sponsors. Thank you guys so much for being a part of it. And for you who listen to the show, you and I, we make this thing happen by simply being kind to one another in the comment section and then going as followers of Christ and living this thing out. If anybody needs more information, ErskineMusic.com is where you start, and then all the nonsense starts, all the social media that's out there. But let's go live it out. See you guys very soon.